Have you ever had the experience of just absolutely forgetting everything? That's the experience for a lot of people who are starting architecture school. And if you're starting architecture school, here are some of the ideas that I wish I had known that might help you as you're starting. Hi, I'm Brandon Gibbs at MotionFORM, and this is part of my Arch Industry Talks, where I talk about things that are important to the industry. Well, let's get started with these ideas. The first thing I wish I knew before I started architecture school, even when I started, is the importance of listening. Listening is so much more important than you might think. Listening is not just people talking about things, you're writing them down, but really researching the points that someone is saying, rehearsing it back to make sure that you understand it, and actually and vitally getting that into some form that might work with you in your design projects or in whichever class you're taking. The idea is that listening is a learned skill, and it will be so much more valuable down the line than a lot of the other skills. Designing without listening is just making noise versus making a sound. The second thing I wish I knew before starting architecture school is the importance also of other people's opinions. A design project, though you have a critic, often gets between you and a critical idea and maybe some research materials. However, in the actual world of architecture, as I'm developing and going through architecture myself, is going to be with lots and lots of consultants. If you want to build something right, you're going to get opinions from several people, and that's going to be really critical. So learning acting an engineer, acting a sculptor, acting your mother, asking someone about your ideas as you develop them will help you become much better down the road. So get that started when you're just starting out. The next thing is the importance of the other classes. I really love design, and because it was so freeform, it had me pretty much in a vacuum a bit for ideas. However, nothing can be further from the truth in terms of what you'll actually be doing. Designing is beautiful, but understanding something as beautiful as a brick, as Louis Kahn said, ask the brick what it wants to be, can be so much more valuable if you had studied in your materials class what is the functions of a brick, or your structures class, how does it perform. As you know those sort of things, even a boring sort of class on cultural studies, which actually is the least boring for me, but boring structures class for most people, or just something that might seem odd, will actually be valuable later on. So take those notes and see how you can incorporate them into your project. The next thing is that books are more stupid than you think. I wouldn't say that books are stupid, but in terms of architecture school, sometimes you're focused on learning certain content that your teacher or program looks at when you actually don't understand the bias that might be present. And that's something that can really skew your perspective. So I think reading a bunch of books, seeing a bunch of resources so that you know and what you actually would like to do. And also, it's not that you don't look at the information and the perspective of your school, but you look at several different types in tandem. The next and the fifth point is that clubs are more than just free snacks. While I really found it valuable to do clubs, I did ones for architecture, I did ones for computer science, I even made clubs for music. But there is all sorts of clubs that you have in school, and they actually can be a really vital source of learning about other people and about the creative design processes, as well as groups like CSI or AIA students or NOMA students, where you could actually start to interact with industry professionals and learn from them way early. So the club is cool for its snacks that it provides, but is also incredibly valuable for the fact that it helps you go and learn and interact with people as you're developing your design. That might even be for after you finish. Number 6, of the things I wish I knew before architecture school was the fact that you need to interact with the industry. Though you might consider yourself desiring to be an industry averse professional theorist or professional student, however you want to talk about it, it's still really valuable to have a relationship with industry. Rem Koolhaas and Peter Eisenman are two examples of people who continually go back and forth in these areas. I love even seeing from the AA event in New York a few years ago, where David Ajay, who's teaching at Ivy League schools, the idea is that he keeps relationship with the industry and with schools. And so as a student, I think you shouldn't count it off to talk with professionals as you're going through your career. And they help you get direction, just like talking with actually other schools is also very valuable. Keep that conversation going. Of course, it could lead to job and employment, but also it could lead for you to have a clearer picture of where you want to go when you finish your education. And the last thing I really wish I knew when in architecture school is actually pretty critical to understanding what is so valuable about what we do as architects, is actually the difference between something that's unique and different and something that's actually valuable and relevant. That means that as you go through creative ideas, there's a big gap between relevant and different. If you have like this crazy new idea that no one has ever seen before, that doesn't mean it's valuable. And this is where architects can learn from product designers. I knew a lot of product designers in school, and the thing is, they probably learned a little bit of this, but the communication design people learn the most. Pretty much communication design, which is like graphic design applied, tells you like how to structure a product so that people will really have value from it. And as I push forward some of those ideas and learn how to communicate that to other people, I improved. And making something different is cool, but you have to go through the process of refining it so it's really valuable and wonderful for everyone who sees it. So those are 7 things that I found that I really wish I had learned a lot more of in starting architecture school. If you're starting architecture school, you know architecture student, give him this video, let him know some things that he should be looking out for. Working as an industry professional, working in architecture toward my license right now, there are things that I'm learning every single day. And I always encourage people to keep learning, keep developing. Again, this is Arch Industry, a MotionFORM production. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.